I talked about the Eldar recently, so you know what? I should talk about another faction I've been unfair on. I want to talk about the Tau, and the aspect of the Tau I'm a huge fan of, and it's all those fun aliens that the Tau use, all those auxiliaries as they're referred to in the lore. Because, you know, the Tau are a big star-spanning empire, kind of like the Imperium in a way, but when they take over an area, instead of killing everybody, crazy, they instead annex the area, take over the population, either with a little bit of manipulation or by convincing the people, depending on who you ask. They convince them that maybe the greater good is good, and then we'll use them in all sorts of roles in the actual Tau Empire, be it militarily, scientific, all over the place. These Tau auxiliaries have a lot of very fun uses, and also there's just some cool ones that aren't like the big three you see everywhere. This aspect of the Tau is the part I like the most, and to be honest, I don't think it's a rare opinion. I would like the Tau a lot more if this was their focus. However, I am very aware that I am basically asking for the Tau to change their entire identity, but I am unapologetic for the fact that I would prefer the Tau if they were less big mecha and more Halo Covenant, just without all the weird religious stuff, I guess. I like that I make that a pointed statement, even though I like the religious vibe of the Covenant from Halo, so, you know. Thank you to all my channel members who make all these videos possible. Though I do think it's important to actually talk about the auxiliaries and what it actually is like to be one of the aliens under the control of the Tau, because this is something that is hotly contested, both in lore and out of lore. You'll see this a lot, because simply put, being a Tau auxiliary puts you in a position where you are considered outside of the typical caste system, where being just your species, that is your new class system, that is your caste. If you are a human, you are now the caste of human. Like, that's pretty much it. And your role is whatever they dictate that to be. For humans entirely, it's actually not fine military work, because they don't really trust people to do that. For Kroot, for example, they actually really respect Kroot militarily. So Kroot are tied a lot more with fire warriors in the fire caste. There's a lot of nuance, and this changes a lot when it comes to the writing, which is why we have a lot of people jumping through hoops to really defend their side. Where either on one side of the online debate, you have people jumping through all these hoops to claim that the Tau are horrible despots that'll either, on one hand, kill your entire population center, or on the other, cut off all of your penises. That is legitimate. They will just apparently castrate all humans, according to some people. But on the other hand, you have a lot of Tau defenders who will go out of their way to say that being under the Tau is a complete paradise. It is a utopia. Those are both propaganda. There's no other way I could shake it. As a 40k fan who likes to read, shocker, the answer lies somewhere kind of in the middle, to be completely honest. And this is the reason I have to say we examine this through the lens of the humans living under the Tau Empire, because this is the main lens we would see this through. For example, if you take the accounts of the many different Deathwatch books, be it the RPG books or the novels, you will see a horrifying picture. You will see a dystopia, you will see Tau using their power, you will see them abusing the civilian populations, you will see humans being killed for fun by Kroot. It's a pretty awful experience. However, these are books that are literally centered around a faction that kills aliens as a job. Therefore, painting said Xenos as comical villains, basically, makes a lot of sense. Since 40k is a setting, it is meant to have an unreliable narrator. It is a dubious narration where you kind of have to take into account that whoever is writing the POV, whatever faction you're looking at, is probably not giving you the full scope. They're giving you their perspective on it. There are also 3 short stories: Broken Voices, The Broken Sword, and The Greater Evil. These 3 stories are explicitly characters, humans underneath Tau control, and you will see like a direct picture running the gambit. These 3 sources are a lot kinder to the Tau than the Deathwatch sources. However, the Tau are still dystopian, I'm going to say. Difference is that it's dystopian, but clearly better than the Imperium. The Imperium, which is very much fall in line, or I'm going to shoot you in the head, or turn you into this, a lobotomized robot. where your job is now to open doors. You're a floating skull servant or something. For the Tau, you fall in line, you live a decent life. You now have physical goods. You have food, water, like shelter, at least like the bare basics of a life. You're not going to live a luxurious life, probably. You're not going to be wealthy, but you're going to live like with your material needs granted to you. You're still lower class than like the Tau, obviously, but your needs are met, which is better than most hive cities. There's a point in this one book, Kill Team, where it just lays it out. A Karut mentions that everyone in the galaxy kind of hates humans just entirely. I don't really blame them, I'm gonna be honest. But the Tau are like the only faction, the only species that's like, all right, let's hear them out. However, there are still some Tau that have this resentment. Some don't hold this hatred, some do. And there are stories in some of the many different spheres of expansion, specifically like the 5th sphere of expansion, where they have sent human soldiers directly to do suicide missions because they're expendable soldiers. There are others that view this direct action as completely immoral and disgusting. Like, how dare you do this? I spent a good chunk of time on this. What is the definitive answer? What is it like being a Tau auxiliary? What is the quality of life being a person underneath the Tau Empire? It's all right. I think the normal answer you could pull out of this is it's better than the Imperium. Unless you're like a named character or have gone to like the Schola Progenium and have ranked up somewhere to like a notable station, your life fucking sucks. There's no other way to put it. If you're like a menial laborer, nah, dog, I get people defecting to the Tau. It just makes sense. Some might say that's like selling out my species, but nah, man, I'd rather have like food, water, not get shot in the head. Those sound like a better deal. But like the actual thing I wanted to do when I set out this video, the actual like fun list of alien species, of fun Xenos that I could find, that you're not just gonna see at the big three. The big three, for a fun little recap, I guess. The Karut, who are carnivorous mercenaries who are excellent close-range fighters. The Vespids, who are really good, quick fighters, and they're also used as scouts and infantry, but they're also just, you know, big spooky bug people. That works too. And then the Gue'vasa, which are humans, which I just spent a long time talking about. But I'm not talking about those three. I'm talking about some fun ones, like the Nagi, who crawl to you, and then they link with you, and they control your mind, and mind control you. Quite honestly, I get some Animorph vibes from this. A chunk of you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, they can like fully mind control people, and they have a lot of crazy mental powers. And I think rightly so. When the Tau first encountered the Nagi, they hated them. Fair call. And they tried to kill each other. And the Tau really was gonna just exterminate them entirely. This is a dangerous species. But eventually, they found peace. And right now, the Nagi actually serve advisor roles for the Ethereals. Because they're really intelligent, like hyper intelligent. So they're really, really useful to have as advisors. And just a quick fun one in the complete other direction are the Vorg, which are giants, colossal giants who are the size of like walkers, like mech walkers. And they're also quick to anger. So there's probably a reason we haven't seen many of them. But yeah, I assume they're like the kind of giants you'd see in AOS, probably that scale. We also have the Turellian Dog Warriors, which, fun fact, crazy twist, they're not dogs. Turns out they're lizard men. They just look like dogs. But when you actually like break down what their role is, like militarily and everything, they're essentially just Karut. I'm gonna be so for real. They're just Karut. So I kind of understand why they haven't popped up too much, but they popped up in some fun little ways. Cool little fact about these guys, they're actually super resilient to gene stealer infestations, but that doesn't stop the gene stealers from trying. I respect the hustle, I guess. Also, fun fact, they've worked with the Alpha Legion a lot. They're one of the good few, like, Tau-aligned Xenos that have been hired out by the Alpha Legion. That's fun. And even funner fact, there is a high-ranking Alpha Legionnaire who has one of the Talarian Dog Warriors as like a top-ranking advisor. good for him, I guess. On like one of those campaigns where they were really working together, I guess he made a friend. Moving away from the more non-combat roles, we have the Gue'vasa, which are very potent psychers. Very potent psychers, which for that explicit reason, they have kept their identity completely secret, because we all know how the Imperium feels about psychers, especially powerful ones. However, they are so useless in combat, mainly because they have to be kept in this special thing known as a heal sphere. So instead, they're really resigned to just sitting and hanging out in their own special cool ships, like luxury yachts, and floating around. However, they have a passion for science and exploration. So they're happily aligned with the Tau because they get a perfect opportunity and a lot of protection to explore the galaxy, making all these fun discoveries. And there's no other way I can put this. They are the scientist ships from Stellaris. That is their entire role in the Tau. However, they are useless when it comes to also like warp travel and expediency entirely. They just do this at a leisurely pace in their yacht. So to do anything with decent speed, the Tau have to literally like tether them to their big ships and pull them like behind. These guys are comical. I kind of like them for that. Then we have my actual favorite, mainly because of just their design. I'm gonna be so for real. The Galg. I love them. So the Galg apparently lived on perfect world. They had a paradise planet. They lived underground, sipping what I assume was squid wine and just chilling, having a great time until the Tau showed up and they descended on the planet. And then there are two different stories depending on who you believe. The Tau came down, and if you listen to the Tau came down and using facts and logic perfectly convinced all the Galg to give up their perfect paradise planet and converted them to the ideals of the greater good. Take up arms and fight with them, and now they fight using sonic guns, and they kill people with these guns. And sometimes they just choke somebody to death with their big tentacles. However, according to the Galg resistance unit, because there is a big rebellion that has happened against the Tau with the Galg, because they're really upset about the idea that their paradise planet was ruined. They say that the greater good has ruined their lives. They claim that the Tau came and conquered them that day, but they specifically don't state it like the Tau came down and like killed them. They claim it more like the Tau came down and militarily pressured them to do it. I kind of aim more in the vibe that they were kind of prodded in that way, because I know the Tau are not the type to come down and just kill everybody and militarily force you to join them. But however, the whole like came down to facts and logic, that just bleeds ethereal propaganda. I don't know. So yeah, that's just a bunch of fun little Xenos at the end of this. That's it. You can subscribe and membership and do that stuff. Bye.